Ladies and gentlemen, Victor Davis Hanson is going to tell us everything he thinks about the current Iran situation. Let's get right into it. I'm Tal the Traveling Clat, your favorite Zionist white colonizing prince, Zionizer.
When you look at Iran, and I've listened to you talk about this on the Daily Signal.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know, I still haven't got the answer. I've asked this question numerous times. Yeah. Maybe you can help me. How did we go from strangulation to negotiation? And I listen, I've heard you say we're trying to entice people with this concept of profitability to not kill people. But then at the same time, you yourself have said, I don't know that we can trust these guys. What happens if they get to 90% enrichment, Trump's out of office in 4 years, and whammo, they've got a nuclear weapon? Like, why? And then I've also heard you talk about the power of deterrence. Like, the most effective form of foreign policy is, like, be good to your allies and put strong deterrence in place. You want peace, plan for war. You want war, be peaceful. Are you in agreement with his strategy in the Middle East? Because it's like,
I think it's a tactical, not a strategic. So what I mean by that is, if you look at the first term, Trump said basically, who is the person who's the biggest problem in Iran as far as extending, and they said Soleimani, and they said you can't touch him because he killed him. And then they said, how can you get rid of ISIS? And they said you're going to have to bomb them and you're going to have collateral damage, but you got to kill Baghdadi. And he did it. And then they called him up and they said the Wagner group, these Russian mercenaries, are attacking a U.S. installation. But we had kind of a rule that in the Cold War you don't kill Russians and they don't kill us.
Okay.
He said, I want you to wipe them out. They killed over 400 of them. They just absolutely decimated them in Syria. So we know that he believes in the utility of deterrent force.
Right.
So what he's doing now is...
Where is that this time, though?
Yeah.
It seems
so
like
he's in a
opposite.
Republican Party that wears the Afghan 20-year debacle that ended in that nightmare in 2021 in Kabul, and the Iraq thing that has Iranians. So in Trump's mind, he ran on no more forever wars. Okay. And that's what RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, all those people. So what he's trying to do, as I understand it, and I talk to people around him, is I'm going to offer these people negotiations. And I'm not going to be called a warmonger, but they are going to exhaust them. So he went and said, listen, Zelensky, don't do that, and Putin do it. And then Putin showed. Now, all of a sudden, Trump says, well, I gave him every off-road ramp. I trashed Zelensky, and the guy won't change. And now he has a much more credible argument to help. He's not going to let Ukraine end up like Afghanistan. If he did, it would ruin his presidency. And the same thing in the Middle East. I think what he's saying to everybody, we got about 4 or 5 more months before they rebuild their defenses. And I'm not going to be the one that just preempts and then have the left and the isolationist right come back and say, well, you were negotiating. They were just about ready to have a deal. Same thing with Hamas. And you stopped it and you were just a mad bomber. So he's basically going to go to the limit. And I understand it. The enrichment is almost there, and the window is closing. We have a few months, sometime in the summer or the fall. He's going to have to make a decision. And I think if he does make a decision, it'll be a much more less controversial decision the more he has offered to negotiate with them.
I get it now, because I think
that's what he's going to do.
That helps a ton, because it's like, personally, listen, I'm totally against forever wars. I certainly would not want my children being thrown into these regime changes all over the world. And I know you talk about, being a citizen means fighting for your country. And I've often questioned, what wars would I fight for? What wars would I, allow my children to fight in? But with the way he was handling, killing Soleimani and Baghdadi and strangling out Iran, I like that better. But now that I feel like I understand what you're saying.
Same thing with the Houthis. He's warned them, and he's been really hitting them hard now. And he said to everybody, well, I warned them, and I warned them, and I get it. I think he's telling the world to the European. The weird thing about the Europeans are they're privately saying one thing. They're saying to him, we need oil, so don't go screw it up because you have oil and we don't, and the price will go high if you go in there. On the other hand, they can reach us. We're closer to them than you, and we have no means of stopping them. So they basically said, Donald Trump, solve the problem for us. But they give you mixed signals that make it almost insolvable. And then the same thing here. So I think what he's saying is, he's not dumb. He's very bright, and he's saying he knows you can't trust the Iranians. He knows they'll break every deal you do.
Right.
He knows that they're a paper tiger now. For the first time in 50 years, they have internal dissension. They have riots. They have power outages. They have no defenses. That an American project of a week could probably destroy all of their nuclear capability for good, weaken the regime. And I think he feels that and even if he didn't feel that way, there's people who will tell you it doesn't really matter because at a critical point in the next few months, the Israelis are going to do it anyway.
Okay.
And so,
right.
And would you rather do it or would you rather have them do it?
Damn, Victor's seeing the fucking future. That's crazy. This was probably recorded like a month ago. Damn, Victor looking right into the future and telling us the truth.
They don't have the capability that we do. And if you stir up a nest and don't finish it, I mean, you're talking about 20 or 30,000 pound bombs that they don't have, a B-1 or B-2 bomber or B-52 to do that. And it would be much more difficult and much more prolonged. It'd be much better if we got the endorsement of the Europeans and the NATO allies and did it. And I think that's what he's doing. I don't want it to happen, but you cannot trust Iran, you cannot trust Putin, you cannot trust China.
Recently I was put into a debate with Ann Coulter, and she's like, I don't care. And listen, I think she's a very intelligent woman.
Yeah, I know Ann pretty well.
But you don't care. She's like, who cares? Let them have their Sharia law and let them have, everybody's got bombs. Who cares? And then you're like, well, I get Pakistan and North Korea, but why do we care about just Iran? But if there is a way to end this non-militaristically or just taking out some bad guys selectively or taking out there's 4 ports there that Israel could take out in a week or less. I get it. I understand he's making the case.
I think that regime is even a little different than Pakistan because North Korea has a deterrent upon it. It's not just the United States, but they don't do anything unless China allows them to do it. And we have told China again and again, if you allow them to use a nuclear weapon, we are going to allow Japan, South Korea to get nuclear weapons. And you're going to be surrounded by Australia. All those countries are on our side. You want that. So they have they enjoy North Korea's hysterics that bother us. And they use them like a bulldog. They let them off the leash. But ultimately, North Korea knows that they can't do anything unless China approves. And Trump has told them, as Bush did. And the same thing with Pakistan. They are deterred by India. They have about 200 nuclear weapons, and India has about 500. But they have, 240 million people. India has 1.4 billion. So we don't worry about Pakistan because India deters it. But when we look at Iran, the only deterrent in that whole area is Israel. And Israel is not, it's only 11 million people, and you've had Rafsanjani in the past say, we kind of like the idea of Israel because half the Jews in the world are in one place and it's a one-bomb state. He used that term, one-bomb state. And so there is no deterrent upon them to and then when you have that messianic, we don't know if it's propaganda or reality, when they said, we want to destroy, we don't care if we lose half our people. We will be the Shia, we will be the Persians, we'll be the true Muslims forever. And the Sunnis and the Arabs are going to get a one comeuppance because we alone killed the Jews. So it's a different situation than North Korea and Pakistan. And
thank you for explaining that to me because it's sometimes I get myself in these situations and I don't have the knowledge at the extent. I'm not a historian.
Well, they're very complex issues, and you got to remember they're colored by the idea that we were 20 years in Afghanistan. We were
I see.
10 years in Iraq. We spent $4 trillion. We lost 6,000 people. And so everybody has said they don't remember it was kind of an angry response to 9/11, etc. WMD is a different story. It was a lie. But what I'm getting at is we're kind of worn out on all of this, and that's one of the reasons that Trump was elected. The other thing a lot of MAGA people will say is, Victor, if we don't screw it up this time, and there's not a COVID, last time we were on our way to two terms, and the Chinese, whether it was intentional or whatever, that destroyed the last year, and he lost the election. And now they're saying somebody is going to screw this up because he's going to be very successful closing the border. The economy is going to take off. He's got $10 trillion in investment. If we just don't get into a controversial quagmire in the Middle East, and you say, well, what about the Iranian? Well, Victor, that's going to be tit for tat. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be horrible. They're going to send missiles into the Saudi oil field. It's not neat. And there's some reasoning about that. But so that's a part of the reaction. They're just, a lot of people are realist and they're not conspiratorial. They just say, on this time around, let's just keep to business and watch our end. But you try to tell them, well, you might not have another chance, because if they get nuclear weapons, they'll start dictating to everybody in the Middle East. So it won't just be Israel. And it won't just be Israel that has a bomb. It'll be the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, they'll all get bombs, because if they don't, Iran will be threatening them forever.
And the last thing that you want in the Middle East is a bunch of Muslims with bombs, with nuclear weapons, especially when there is such a rampant ideology in the Muslim world about bringing on the end of the world. You don't want it. You need to understand this. While I agree with Victor's assessment there towards the end, it would be amazing if without a COVID, we would have seen a successive Trump victory, because life was pretty good for most people under the first Trump administration. And it would be pretty remarkable if we were able to go through this without another thing. But you are heading towards war with Iran, whether you like it or not. That's what I keep saying. There's no way to avoid it. When they chant death to America, death to America, death to America, the mullahs, the ayatollahs, and they brainwash their society. Not saying that most Iranian people believe in that, but they are taking their own country hostage. You are creating a very dangerous nation, and if they try to enrich uranium and turn it into a bomb, and they start dictating to people what they can and can't do in the Middle East, then the Saudis have it, then these have it, then these have it. Imagine if Syria got a nuclear weapon. That's what Iran having a nuclear weapon is like. It's like if Syria got a nuclear weapon. That could end up in America. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand. You need to understand this is your war also. It is also your war. Whether you like it or not, you're involved in it. It's not Israel that involved you. You are involved in it because of what you stand for. That's what it is. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye, class. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.